What up, my guys? Welcome to another show, man. It's NFL Talk with Jay Money, and we got our guy Shark with us here as well, man. Y'all know how we do it, NFL style, rapid fire. Shark, what's up with you, my brother? Bring the vibes, man. How you doing, my guy?
Taking a breath. Thursday morning, afternoon, early show. I can't wait to be back in the NBA. The early time. Looking forward to it. September 15th. I was just saying to Jay off the air. Of course, this show, my channel started in Florida. This is the first time it's been crispy cool in the morning. I couldn't be more excited. Huge game tonight. AFC West battle. This is a competitive matchup. Jay Money, lead the way. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it, man. No point in wasting the people's time. And we appreciate everybody for being here as well. Hit the like button, subscribe, share on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff, man. Let's get the vibes in here going. It helps bring the look to the plays and the challenge as well. Let's get straight to it. We got the Chargers here getting 4 points versus the Kansas City Chiefs here, Shark. The Chargers are 3-1 against the spread, although these teams are 2-2 against each other over the past few years here. The Chiefs looked good in week 1 versus the Cardinals over there. How would the Chargers look good as well versus the Raiders. Defense looking a little bit upgraded as well. Shark, what do you think here? Can Patrick Mahomes continue to throw with success in this one?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on here. And I think, ultimately this is the Thursday kickoff show. We're going to go through every game. We appreciate you guys last week really staying with us for what ended up being an hour. We were planning on like 20 minutes. Jay and Shark, we get going. I said 20 hours. We can just rip it. But, this game for me is not an absolute banger. There's a lot of counter narratives going on here. One of the most interesting things that I do think about this game is the fact that ever since Justin Herbert came out of Oregon and found himself in Southern California, he has balled the hell out against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Of course, you got to go back 2 years ago. It was a pandemic year. There were no fans. But the first matchup between Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert as professionals was an overtime win by Kansas City. Harrison Butker, the kid has a golden leg, I swear, 50-plus yarder to win the game, but a non-cover. Later that season, Kansas City had clinched, sat their starters. Chargers went into Arrowhead, I believe in week 17, and hammered the Chiefs. But Chargers were actually minus 6.5 in that game on the road. Then it comes back to last year. Chargers got them again, an outright win in Arrowhead, full roster this time, Sunday, September 26, 2021, a day it was, 30-24. And then finally, the Chiefs covered a game in overtime late season out west, 34-28. But that was a backdoor. Patrick Mahomes' late touchdown in regulation and then a walk-off in overtime. This is just competitive stuff. I mean, Jay, these two teams play each other tight. We mentioned this before. The AFC West, this is not just the Chargers and the Chiefs, Raiders and Broncos. This is a tight, deep, competitive division. And I think this -4 is telling you a story of pretty much where this game is going to hover. I don't see this getting too far off the line here. Jay, you got anything on this one?
Yeah, that's a good point, man. I'd like to lean to the under in this one. We know that this is my assessment, right? I know that the Chiefs put up a bunch of numbers last week, but they don't have necessarily that quick strike offense anymore. It's basically marching up and down the field. And this Chargers defense is an upgrade as well, getting Khalil Mack over there. Obviously, Derwin James, a nice a linebacker over there. He can stick with Kelsey over there. So I feel like the Chargers may have enough defensively to try to keep the Chiefs offense at bay, right? So it's a tough game for me as far as spread wise. I think this is a real sharp number, basically hovering around 3.5, 4. I could really see an ending right on 3 or 4. This is always a close game between these two guys. Thursday night football, standalone game. I'm not forcing anything on this one. I would like to lean to the under, but I'll be honest, I hadn't bet a single dollar on this game. initially wanted to take the Chargers there, Shark, but I'm sure I'd like to know the numbers on teams with division going back-to-back divisional games to open the season. I'm sure that's pretty tough. There was a huge game for the Chargers there over the Raiders, in my opinion. So could possibly be in for a letdown spot here, and they have to travel with a short week as well, my guys. So it's this is a tough game for me. I can really see it going either way. When I see that happen, I stay off the game, Shark. Anything else on this one?
Yeah, I mean, we can spend a few more minutes on this one. I know people want to gamble on this. Of course, this is tonight. Giving out the plays for Sunday. There's a little bit of a waiting period there. So we'll talk about this one a little bit more. There's probably 3 or 4 points. First one we'll talk about, historically, in the last 3 or 4 years, ever since Patrick Mahomes became Patrick Mahomes, not Texas Tech Patrick Mahomes, NFL Kansas City Chiefs Patrick Mahomes, the lines got incredibly inflated. I mean, they were laying 7, 7.5, 9, 10, 10.5, 12 across the board. It was like Kevin Durant Warriors lines. And what happened? Just like Kevin Durant Warriors lines, they stopped covering. And the Kansas City Chiefs became a huge fade team ATS over the last 2 to 3 seasons. And I do think now that you're seeing these lines readjusted to Kansas City losing the AFC title game, losing Tyreek Hill, new scheme, maybe an assumption from the books that Patrick Mahomes is maybe peaked, maybe not going to go further to more Super Bowls. I don't know. They're shorter lines. And the key point here is Kansas City was 0-3 ATS against San Diego. The 34-28 game in overtime, the last matchup late last year, Kansas City was laying a short 3. And they did get there in overtime and win by 6. And oftentimes we see this in the NBA. We talk about this ebbs and flows where a team turns a corner. I think Kansas City might have turned a corner. They were awful ATS against everybody. They were awful ATS against the Chargers. They finally got one. They got one late in overtime, but that might have opened the door to now a bit of a law of averages regression to a more neutral mean where the Chargers aren't covering 80, 90% of games against the Chiefs. If I had a free play here, I would be taking the Chiefs based on that general idea.
Yeah, the obviously Chargers, they're without Keenan Allen as well. Their top wide receiver, and also still most likely going to be without J.C. Jackson as well. He didn't play in week 1. It'd be nice to have him versus Devontae Adams over there, but he's coming off off-season ankle surgery, guys. So even though he's questionable here, we really don't think that J.C. Jackson is going to play. He's just not 100%. There's no reason throwing him out there and possible injuring that same ankle even more. That's not something you want. You want him for the long haul here. So they're missing their top receiver and top cornerback. Could come into play in this one, and just that back-to-back divisional games, it's really hard. They would really want that Raiders game. I can really see a letdown here, and like Shark said, the Chiefs are pissed off at everyone right now, man. They really look like they're just out taking names in this one, my guys. So yeah, I can understand lean the Chiefs in that one. Let's go over here to so that's it for the Thursday night game. Sometimes if we have a strong play, we'll break you off with it. If we don't, you know what I'm saying, we'll bring you off with our leans. And then let's get to some games we actually like here. Shark, first game up on Sunday. Baltimore Ravens laying 3.5. Shark with the beautiful call on the Ravens in week 1, smacked up the Jets. Now they come home laying 3.5 points versus the Dolphins, Shark, that look pretty good versus the Patriots. Well balanced as well, offensively and defensively. How are we looking at this game total of 44.5, my brother?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of looking good, I think this is why there was such a controversy with Flores being laid off from the coaching position. Because, I mean, if you look back at the Dolphins, I know we got some guys from South Florida in the chat. We got Josh Impressions, my man, hilarious comedian impressionist here. He's going to come on the NFL show, I believe, in week 4 or 5 or 6. It's going to be a hell of a fucking show. I can't wait to work with him. But South Florida has found football. This team was, I believe, 3-7 last year and finished the campaign 9-8. They are 9-1 straight up in their last 10 ball games. And I think people don't realize that. You know, a lot of people don't follow the Dolphins. A bit of a niche market down there. As we talk about all the time in Miami, you know, it's South Beach, it's touristy, it's glamorous. It's not Leatherhead football ground at all, really. And so people don't really follow the game down there that much. And of course, I'm not trying to insult you guys in Fort Lauderdale hanging out down in Boca, but it's just not Pittsburgh. It's not Philly. It's not, you know, they're not hanging out in New Hampshire here. So anyway, that being said, I think the national market is not entirely aware of just how good the current Miami Dolphins are. 9-1 in their last 10. And you look at the other side of this, before we took Baltimore in week 1 to cover the 6.5 at the Jets, I had said, uncannily, people may not also realize that the Ravens finished last season with 6 straight losses. So you look what happened last year. Miami got them 22-10 at the beginning of this run down in Miami, which of course is an incredibly difficult travel spot for everybody, hard to motivate, intense humidity and heat. And that really jump-started their thing. So Ravens have a revenge game. The line's a little short. It was Ravens 8.5 on the road, and it's coming down to 3.5, which is incredibly short. 3.5 historically is a tough line. I don't have an official on this. I fear this game is going to be a field goal game, which of course would lean plus 3.5. But I think this is going to be a tight one.
Yeah, and it's crazy, Sharp, because before this, before that 22-10 win by the Dolphins in 2021, where they're 8.5-point dogs, before that, the Ravens had won. They were 8-1 straight up and 9-0 against the spread against them. So maybe the Dolphins are due now to come back for. I'll tell you this: the Dolphins obviously upgrade their roster. The Ravens, they are due to come up this year, but I feel like they're a receiving core, right? So you got Lamar Jackson. Can he pass the ball? He's been passing it around, but up against a good defense like the Dolphins, I'm really wanting to start to see if this receiving core really start to show itself today. It won't show versus a team like the Jets, but you go against a team that's on the come up like the Dolphins, it could show here, in my opinion. So I'd lean Dolphins here plus the 3.5. Not enough for me to take it in this spot, but I would lean the Dolphins here, Shark. Let's go over here to the. Speaking of the Jets, let's go over here to the Cleveland Browns here. Laying 6 points. Now, this team almost lost to the Panthers in week 1, had to go down and get a game-winning field goal in that one. Now they're laying 6 points versus the Jets. I know the Jets aren't sexy, but we still got to remember that the Browns are going to have some of these early season losses. I think this 6 is kind of a 6/5.5, Shark. I think this is somewhat like of a trap spot for the Browns here. I'd be leaning towards the Jets here.
Yeah. I can't say I'm totally enthused by this particular game. There's definitely better ones on the card here. This is definitely your backwoods special. This is your Oklahoma City Thunder against the Houston Rockets right here. But I would lean the Jets with you as well. I think, as you mentioned, Jets at home, Lamar Jackson, contract dispute, angry, ready to go. Baltimore just was a whole other level of class. Now you come back here, and it's hard to figure out really what happened week 1 in Carolina. Baker Mayfield, slow start, big push second half. I had suggested this on the show last week. I think Baker Mayfield and the Panthers are going to be right on the number every single week. It's just kind of how they play football. They never really blow anybody out. They're kind of pedestrian or inconsistent emotionally. And I think that's kind of why you saw Cleveland hang around there and ultimately win the game. I believe there were 2 field goals in the last minute and a half or 2 minutes or something like that. So now they come back, big road win, emotional road win as well against Baker Mayfield. This is absolutely a letdown spot. And I think the Jets, again, hard to really cross-reference a home game against Lamar Jackson with a road game against Cleveland coming off that win. It's a huge trap for Cleveland. Numerically, it's inflated. It's an emotional letdown. Joe Flacco going back out to, of course, the division where he played well for a period of time. I would lean Jets, not official, free play Jets plus 6.5.
They were totally different teams, but Flacco used to own the Browns when he was over there. His record versus them is pretty good. It's, like you said, Sharp, there's one key thing you said. Coming off a huge emotional game, and they have another emotional game on deck as well versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I can't tell you with football, sometimes I just like to take certain spots and really take the names off the jerseys and really just bet the situational spot. The situational spot says take the Jets here plus the 6. Maybe they could keep within a field goal and even possibly still lose the game, but I don't want to lay close to the touchdown with the Browns who are coming off a big game versus Baker Mayfield. Then you got a revenge game versus division rival on deck next week versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, my guys. So it sounds ugly as hell. It's probably the ugliest game on the board, but I'd lean Jets plus the 6 in that one. And they're still improved from last year as well, guys. They got a bunch of young guys over there. It's all about the coaching. Can the coach really fire these guys up, man? Hopefully they're not like the Sacramento Kings. Let's go over here to the streets of Detroit real quick. Got the Lions laying 1.5 points versus the Washington Commanders here, my guys. The last time the Lions were laying points, I believe it was versus the Commanders as well. They did cover a game. 2 totally different teams now. That's why I don't like to go back too far into NFL. But I'd be liking the Giants. I'd be liking the Lions in this one, Shark. You got any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, that's a great point. When was the last time the Lions were laying points? It was not last year, I'll tell you that. And last year is a key point here. This team, obviously, with Jared Goff and our guy, the coach, I'm forgetting his name on the top of my head, Dan Campbell, just an absolute fucking energy body. They get inspired. I mean, you saw it in week 1. Backdoor cover 38-35, 14-0 fourth quarter. That has been symptomatic of how they play football at home. They love the back door. And if you go back to last season, this team uncannily was actually 6-2 ATS at home. I'll repeat that. The Detroit Lions last year were 6-2 ATS at home. That's what is that? 75% for those mathematicians out there. And they won the last 3 games outright last year. 29-27 against Minnesota, 30-12 hammer against Arizona, and 37-30 in the final week against Green Bay. So now they've covered 4 in a row. They're 3-1 straight up last 4. Now they're laying juice to Washington. And this is a trap spot for Washington. Washington just won the first game of the Carson Wentz era at home against Jacksonville. We still don't really know how good Jacksonville is. And the following 2 weeks, they have 2 divisional games against Philadelphia and Dallas. Mm-hmm. So if you really look at this from that type of standpoint we just talked about with Cleveland, emotional trap, sandwich spot, whatever you want to call it, this is an absolute sandwich spot. Off a win, 1 off on the road, 2 divisional games behind it. And you know this team, Detroit, Hard Knocks, we'll say this probably all year, they're going to compete. That is pretty much their mold. They know they're not a title contender. They know they're young. They have a lot of ex-players at all the position coaches. Mm-hmm. They fire it the hell up, and they're going to compete. I'm not official on this, but I'm definitely leaning towards Detroit here, Jeff.
That's a good point there, Shari. I forgot that they basically got a bunch of ex-players as the coaches. So not just Campbell, the position coaches as well, coaching up offensive line. I don't know that for a fact the offensive line coach is a previous player, but I'm pretty damn sure. We know that the wide receivers coach, the running backs coach, you know what I'm saying? That comes into play because they actually know the situations. They know how to get these guys ready in camp because they were actually there. I don't know about you guys, but I listened to somebody that was actually there doing that shit before some old hack or just knows a system or something. Shark, you just brought something to my attention. Carson Wentz is going back to Philly next week, man. They're going back to Philly. I'll be honest with you, Shark. I missed that one, but it makes my case even more. The only play I have this week is Lions. I'm on the money line. I came down from 2.5 to 1.5, guys. So if you'd like to take the 1.5, I'm on the money line. Got them at a pick as well before the season even started. The Lions are 5-1 against the spread last 6 versus Washington. I know they were different teams, but hey, you could argue sorrier teams for the Lions though. 5-1 against the spread and 5-1 straight up last 6 games versus the Commanders, the Redskins, whatever the hell you want to call them. I'm rolling with the Lions. I'm with Leo shit as well, Shark here. We're rocking with those Lions minus 1.5. I would know that they're favored. The books don't make mistakes though. You see what I'm saying? They think that they should win the game. Let's see what happens here, Shark. Let's go over here down to the streets of Jacksonville. The Jacksonville Jaguars have damn near owned the Colts of late, though. But you know what, Shark? It's pretty simple with me. With me on this one. The playoff revenge angle says that the Colts, the Jacksonville Jaguars, beat them as 14-point underdogs with the bum Wentz out there. They could have went to the playoffs. They win that game. You lose it and you don't. They got smacked up in Jacksonville. Maybe the Heat messes with them, Shark, but I can only look towards the Colts in this one.
Yeah, and I will make a comment on the Heat. Obviously, I'm not from Florida. I did live there for 5 years. Jacksonville is so far north. It's basically in Georgia. It's not nearly as hot. You don't have the same weather pattern. So it doesn't have the same effect as Miami. The humidity is almost non-existent up there, comparatively speaking. But all that being said, you do want to buy the Colts. I mean, the Colts laid an absolute egg on the road last week. I mean, that was an absolute atrocity. They were down, I believe, 20-6 in the fourth quarter. They came back, tied the game. It was like they thought they were going to coast this game. And then they're like, wow, we're down 2 scores in the fourth quarter. We got to turn this on a little bit. And I think you saw they were capable of turning it on, which is also just a crazy snapshot to the lack of focus that these guys are bringing to the first game of the season, which for me is just bizarre. But that being said, that should have jolted them a little bit. So now you go down to Jacksonville. As you mentioned, Jacksonville has owned them in the last period of time here and did get in their way last year. I believe 26-11 in the last matchup. A surprising win for Jacksonville. I want to take the Colts here. Here's my issues. The line is short. It should be a higher line. So they're telling you this matchup is tightening up in terms of the theoretical long-term expectancy with Trevor Lawrence and Peterson at the head coaching position versus Frank Reich and Matt Ryan at the back end of his career. And Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, again, I'm going way out of the box here, but it reminds me a little bit of Peyton Manning in his second year. Peyton Manning was horrendous in his rookie year. tons of picks. I think he set the pick record back in the day. He had 30-something picks. And year 2, he came back, saw film, took a breath, off season 1, totally rejuvenated. You saw it last week. Trevor Lawrence, they came out really flat. They came back, I believe, to take the lead in the fourth quarter before the Commanders did push back and win.
Mm-hmm.
This team is going to be competitive. And this team it's not a team you want to continuously fade, in my opinion. I don't think you want to continuously fade them when the other team is laying a short line on the road in a back-to-back divisional environment. Again, divisional games are incredibly difficult to win no matter how bad the team is. I mean, you look back historically, the Jets compete against the Patriots, and the Jets have been absolute bottom feeders for as long as we can remember. This is going to be a scrappy game. I would warn people that are looking to take the Colts in a bounce back on a road divisional back-to-back versus an angry opponent in their home stadium. Jacksonville, Florida is a tough place to play. Again, it's not because of the humidity. It's kind of a dead zone spot. You saw Aaron Rodgers travel there in week 1 last year to a displaced game against New Orleans and get absolutely hammered. It's a weird environment. It's kind of, I don't know how you would even describe it. It's kind of, there's a casino there. There's a track. It's kind of like a blue-collar white town. I don't know. It's got a funky vibe to it, and guys don't travel very well there. So I would be worried about the Colts here, if I'm being honest. I think the Colts would bounce back better in week 3.
It's still hot as fuck over there, though, bro. That's something I'm saying. I know that it's like it might not be like Miami and Tampa and shit down there. It's still hot over there in Florida. And I'm just saying, we're just talking it out, trying to see what the fuck is wrong with them, bro. So the home team has won the last 9 games. See what I'm saying? 9-0 straight up. Jacksonville is 8-1-1 against the spread last 10 versus the Colts. You see what I'm saying? So it just seems they have some success, whether they're trash or not. But so this is why I'm not taking the Colts. They coming off an overtime game. I don't want to bet an NFL team that's literally just had to play, and it was a tie as well. So they just played 5 quarters of football, whether they're better than that or not. I just feel like, I guess you could say the other team has the rest advantage, right? I know that they're off for a whole week, but still, football is a brutal fucking sport, man. Injuries, any play, so I'm saying you get kicked in the shin, all type of stuff. Me personally, I don't necessarily like taking teams coming off an overtime game, especially when that whole extra quarter was played. But like I say, it's just lean for me. It's still Colts or nothing for me. They shouldn't have even tied their last game. They are better than that. The Jags, they might have some bye towards them versus average teams. I mean, we still don't know how the Colts are, right? That's why, you know what I'm saying, these early weeks are a bit of a toss-up. But I still think the Colts are better than what they displayed. The Texans really just showed out, right, and surprised everyone. The Jags aren't there yet for me, guys. I know they've owned them in the past. They're not there yet for me to be taken because in my opinion, they basically need to win this game. Lose by 3 or win the game. I'm not there yet with the Jags. They should have won the game last week. You see the trash defense come in when it matters most. You let Wentz march right down the field, man. So I just don't understand it. Colts, it'd be Colts or nothing for me in this one. Playoff revenge says when you play a team that kept you from making the playoffs, they're going to remember that shit. Maybe they were looking ahead to this game. I'd lean Colts there. Let's go over here to the streets of New Orleans, Shark. We got the Saints here. Me and you talked about this game. The Saints have basically owned the Bucs of late. What does it start with? It starts with the QB pressure. They have a top-tier defensive line. If you can get to Brady, you can beat them. We know that the starting center is out, and I believe one of their tackles, the left or right tackle, is out for the Bucs now as well. So offensive line issues on the Bucs. It's a tough game, bro. What you thinking?
It is a tough game. This reminds me of the Chargers owning the Chiefs in the last 2 years. The New Orleans Saints have owned the Bucs even at a higher degree. 4 outright wins and some absolute blowouts too. I believe 38-3, 9-0. As you mentioned, their defensive line really gets after Tom Brady. Tom Brady is not noted as being a mobile quarterback, and particularly at age 45. I mean, he actually might be. He has his pocket presence is probably better now than it was 10 years ago because he trains that way. Footwork, awareness, get rid of the ball, pliability, whatever. But I mean, this team gets after him, and when he's uncomfortable and he's rushed, he can't deliver the football, and their entire offense is disrupted. This line is really short. The only thing that I fear here, there has been a major energy and not necessarily regime, but energy shift with the New Orleans Saints without Sean Payton. When Sean Payton and the boys, Drew Brees 2 years ago, I believe last year was Trevor Siemian, at least one of the starts. I'm not sure if Jameis was in the other one, but regardless, this is a new era, a new energy. Dennis Allen, we talked about this last week. When he was a head coach before with the Raiders in 2012 through 2014, it did not work. And he has been the defensive coordinator for 6 years with the Saints, so there is continuity. But again, the key point is, can he lead men? You can be a schematic wizard, but can you lead a locker room of 53 alpha males? I don't know if he's the guy. And I mean, you saw it in week 1 at the Falcons. That was incredibly lackluster. And if there was ever going to be an environment where the Bucs finally do show up and beat this Saints team, in my opinion, it would be new coach, Dennis Allen, first home game, Jameis Winston inconsistent. Just like we said with the Chiefs tonight, the Bucs are due to get the Saints. So it's a short line, but that counterpoint to the short line, Bucs have to get one eventually. I don't know. This is going to be a tough spot.
Yeah, I think it's as simple for the Bucs. Can they block the defensive line of the Saints? If you can give Tom Brady time to throw the ball, they'll carve him up, in my opinion. But if they're letting them get to him, because I feel like when Brady, he's 45 years old. Once he starts, this is football. Once he starts to get hit, he just kind of, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like over the years, man, progressing. When he starts to get hit, that's how you beat Brady. So it's a tough one. I'll tell you this. It's pretty simple with me. It's Bucs or nothing for the simple fact this divisional teams with double revenge from last year. That's why we took the Steelers in week 1. You see what I'm saying? They lost. But when you lose both times to the team the previous year, you want to win that game, man. It's simple. You don't want to let these motherfuckers own you forever. So I'd lean Tampa Bay in that one. I don't like that they have the offensive line issues and a couple of receivers banged up now as well. But I would lean Bucs. Toss up type of game, man. I must say, I could see, because maybe the Saints really maybe they just got Brady figured out. But Winston, am I sold on him? Hell no, man. This guy might throw 3 picks out there. Let's go over here to the streets of New York real quick, Char. We got the Giants laying 2.5 points versus the Panthers. Everybody's talking about certain teams laying points. Nobody's talking about the Giants laying points here. Maybe it's because they look good versus the Titans, or did they really? They didn't really look good, but they covered and won the game. Panthers, I must say, they looked a little bit better than I expected versus that Browns defense over there. Like I said, they could have really easily won that game. What do you think about this one, Short?
I think this is tough. I'm gonna be saying this all season. When the Panthers are involved, I think you're gonna be coin flipping almost every single game. You saw week 1 against the Browns. Truthfully, that could have gone either way. I mean, the score reversed twice in the last 2 minutes of the game, right on the spread. And I think this is going to be the similar type of thing. You go back to last year, the Giants did hammer Carolina at home, of course, without Baker Mayfield, 25-3. And the line is moving towards the Giants. In that game, Carolina was favored by 3 points. We talk about this a lot. When Carolina is favored by 3, they lose, and then they move it to the Giants. They're saying that the outcome last year is more likely to repeat itself than the revenge angle to come the other direction, just in terms of the way that the Vegas odds makers weight things. And again, they would do the opposite if they thought the opposite. The line tells you a damn good story. So they're telling you a Giants story here. But again, I think the story's great, but is the line right to bet? I mean, I could see this game yet again being something along the lines of like 23-22 or 22-21. And I just think in certain environments in NFL football, and of course every other sport in the world, there are just games where you can have a really solid lean, but you're going to coin flip against the line and you have no edge and you're just gambling. It's not what you want to get yourself into.
I'm not betting if I don't have an edge, guys. It's simple. So if you guys would like to do it, don't get mad at us because we don't. I hope that makes sense. You see what I'm saying? I'd lean Panthers here. I do believe that they bounce back. It's not that I don't want to take Giants as a favorite, because I feel like certain guys, you can't just look at, oh, they're a favorite, we're never going to take them. Versus certain teams, they actually deserve to be a favorite. This could be one of them. It's just I really do think you do get 0-1 versus 1-0. The Giants are due to come up, but it just seems like they really play well. Put like this, they got a little too hyped up for me after that game. Like, it's cool, you won the game. You didn't just win the Super Bowl. I know that you were used to losing all this. You won a new head coach, all this. But home opener, I could see the Panthers bouncing back in this one. As long as Baker Mayfield take care of the ball, it's simple. Do you want to bet on it? I don't. But if he has, I'd say less than 2 picks, so 1 or no picks, the Panthers win this game. But if you get that Baker Mayfield that's just throwing the ball up with his eyes closed, and he's throwing picks and forcing into coverage, they're definitely going to lose game. Definitely a toss-up type of game, my guys. But I would lean to the Panthers here, bounce back. It's down from 2.5 to 1.5 as well. So with everybody on the Giants, it is down to 1.5 there. Nobody's really respecting the Panthers. They're really like an average type of team. They can play up one week and they can play down one week, guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Pittsburgh. Here we got the Steelers getting 2 points now for the Patriots. This line opened up at 1. It's starting to get steamed up to 2.5, my guys. Questions with Mac Jones here, Shark, but I'll tell you this: the Pittsburgh are in a flat spot, let down spot. Talk about thought they won the Super Bowl. They're in the locker room partying, everything. It was a big game for them, Shark. We were on it. We cashed it. Opportunity conquered. But now is the letdown spot for Pittsburgh, if you ask me here. But can we trust the Patriots offense?
I don't know if we need to trust the Patriots offense, really. I think when you look at this game, there's a lot more elements to this. I mean, you talk about historical domination. This doesn't necessarily apply. Of course, the Patriots have rebooted their roster considerably, but Patriots are 13-4 in the last 17 games against the Steelers. They own this franchise, and Bill Belichick is a large element of that. It's not so much Tom Brady going into Pittsburgh and slaying the Steelers. For those of you who watch a lot of Pittsburgh football, New England football, AFC football, and NFL football, you know over the years, Brady wasn't going in there and throwing for 375 and 4 scores. Most of those games were defensive battles. They were schematic adjustment type of games. And the key point is Bill Belichick is still there for those schematic adjustments. And you look back at the Patriots. The Patriots started out the Mac Brown era 6-0 straight up on the road. 6-0. And then it has cratered since. They're 0-4 in their last 4, and they've gotten hammered all 4. But key point, it's opponent-driven. Jay was just talking about the Colts last year making a late push for the playoffs. Patriots went into Indianapolis and lost 27-17. Then they went to Miami, which, again, Miami is just a place where New England cannot play. And they got hammered in the last week of the season, 33-24. Then they went to Buffalo. We know how good Buffalo is in a playoff game and got obliterated by 30 points, I believe 47-17. And then, of course, they opened up last week, another obliteration, 20-7, double-digit loss at Miami again. So 6-0 straight up. That had to go the other direction. It's gone the other direction. 4 straight road blowouts, but playoff at Buffalo, 2 at Miami where they can't play. Now they find their comfort zone. Now they come back to where they feel good. I'm taking this officially. I'm dropping it right now. New England -2, 1 unit. And as Jay said, this is a dead zone spot for Pittsburgh. TJ Watt is hurt. Mitchell Trubisky did exactly what Geno Smith did last week. 17 first half points, looked hot, everything was great. 3 points in the second half. He came down to earth. He's pedestrian. Joe Burrow gave them 4 turnovers in the first half, and they still barely won the game. This team is not great. New England will make adjustments. And one final point, that 20-7 loss last week by 13, a little bit fraudulent. Defensive touchdown for Miami on the 2-yard line. Yardage gained in the game was very equal. That game was a lot closer than you would expect. All boxes are checked. New England -2, 1 unit.
Yeah, I couldn't talk you off here. It'd definitely be a strict fade of the Steelers, in my opinion. My only thing was like the Patriots offense looked horrible last week. It's not that the Dolphins are that great defensively, but the offense was not clicking, guys. If you know, there's rumblings going on who's going to call the fucking plays for him. Hopefully, Belichick starts back calling the plays, but it's not good how they were in the preseason. They tried to have Patricia calling the plays, which he's the defensive coordinator. Joe Judge calling plays. He was the lame duck coach that was for the Giants. So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered for the Patriots. But like you said, Shark, Belichick should have his guys ready to go. We know that Tomlin is no lame duck as well, but that was a pretty big game for them, guys. We broke it down literally to perfection. They were turned up for that game, double revenge from last year. And then they got a division game on deck as well. This would be a fade of the Steelers, in my opinion. It's pretty simple with that one. Basically, whoever they're playing this week, it should be a letdown spot. You don't get the best game from the Steelers here. Somewhat of a toss-up, but I would lean to the Patriots in this one, my guys. Hopefully their offense can get clicking in this one. Let's go over here to the streets of LA here, Sharp. We got the Rams in bounce back mode, laying 10.5 versus the Falcons. Can Mariota and the boys replicate that week 1 success?
I don't think so. And we're dropping another official right now. LA Rams minus 10.5, 1 unit. And as Jay said, there's some great spots developing here on the late card. 6 out of the last 8 games are favorites over 8.5 points. That is unheard of in NFL football, particularly early season. Occasionally late in the season, week 15 or later, there are just teams that are absolutely tanking and lines get inflated as books adjust to just the absolute mediocrity and futility of certain teams. When you see this in week 2 and you see double-digit lines like this, particularly in these environments, these are the spots you want to buy. You go back to last week, we had the Bills to hammer the Rams. Now we buy low on the team we just faded last week. Jay calls it the zigzag effect in the NBA. The zigzag effect applies to the emotional capacity of pro athletes, no matter what the sport. So now you get an angry Rams team, and you get a situation where you go back to last year. The Rams had 3 spots at home against bottom feeders. They were 2-1 ATS. They opened the season against Chicago and beat them by 20, 34-14. Slightly later on, they did not cover against Detroit, 28-19. However, key point, the only situation where they played a bottom feeder at home coming off of a loss in the previous week, they lost at Green Bay. They came home against Jacksonville, laid a big number, double digits, 37-7 blowout. And you look at the Falcons last week, we talked about it. We got the Saints, new coach, traveling in the division, week 1, whatever. Falcons caught a weakened, sketchy, unfocused, unmotivated, looking ahead to Tom Brady team last week. This is not a good Falcons team. They're going to come in here, and I think they're going to get their ass handed to them. I have this game graded at 15.5 or higher, and I think you're looking at a blowout waiting to happen. 1 unit, minus 10.5.
Yeah, the Falcons are professional losers over there. They're over here smiling on the sidelines. They're used to losing. It is kind of a gut wrenching loss, but it's like they don't even care. They're used to losing, man. Give me my paycheck. Where's my 300,000, 400,000 for the game, man? I don't give a damn that we lost. But yeah, lean Rams and they'll win for sure. Should be Smack City spot, my guys. Let's go over here to the streets. Let's go to San Francisco here. Got the 49ers. This line was at 9.5 down to 8.5 now. Seahawks getting plenty of love after that Monday Night Football game. What do you think, Shark? In theory, that was the Seahawks Super Bowl, guys. You hear them full of themselves after on the interviews, all this. They were up for that game. It's almost like the Steelers. Now you have a huge letdown spot, and it's just so tough because they're going against a team that's probably going to be pissed the fuck off. Am I a huge fan of Lance or want to back him up here? But they know that they were trashed. Guys, they practice all week, get ready for these games. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing about NFL. You got all week to think about this shit of bouncing back. They're going to come in ready here. We know that Seattle is not that good that they just shown on Monday Night Football. I expect the letdown here. The Niners probably is going to get just like that Rams game versus the Falcons, in my opinion, Shark.
Yeah, I haven't gotten there yet with San Francisco. I do agree with everything you said, though. I mean, this is pretty much the same exact environment, and this is why we have some great developing spots this week. We have contender-style teams that all got insulted by their own quality in week 1, and then they get to play bottom feeders who completely oversold themselves in week 1. Like, these are the spots you live for in sports, where a bad team is too hot and a little cocky, traveling on the road off a win, and then you get a great team who just insulted themselves. I mean, this is great stuff, guys. You have to understand, these spots don't exist every week, and it's really, really good stuff. San Francisco, for me, has not become official yet. I'm still looking at it. The only reason I'm a little bit off it is just because I don't know Trey Lance very well. Obviously, he was fairly unimpressive in week 1, but Soldier Field, pouring rain. I mean, there was no footing. The game was an absolute disaster. So I think you can throw that out, just generally speaking. I might get there with San Francisco. As you mentioned, Seattle, I mean, as we talked about with the Steelers, Geno Smith was hot early. First drive, 4 for 4, 71 yards. Late touchdown, 25-yard, end of the second quarter. Nothing in the second half. They could have gotten hammered in that spot. I mean, we'll talk about Denver in a second, but that was a weird, funky game. Total letdown spot here. San Francisco, definitely the lead.
Yeah, this would be bet. So I tell you this: Seahawks are in a bet against spot. It's simple. So when it like I really simplify things in NFL, this you do kind of get the bet against versus bet on. I might get there. That's what I want. That's what I look for in NFL. A team that's coming in pissed off versus a team that's coming in complacent. You get this a bet against spot for Seattle, bet on for San Francisco. That's how you get your top spots in the NFL. I might get there with the 49ers, guys. Obviously, I'll be live Sunday morning. It probably either from the house or from the spot, letting you know what my final 3 plays are, but I'll have at least 3 plays. The Niners are close, guys. If it fits the situation, it's really one of those. We're not going to cash every single play. You take the right plays over the course of time. You see what I'm saying? But I believe that the 49ers are the right side in their game, my guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Dallas here. We got the Cowboys here getting 7.5 points versus the Bengals. Oh, man, this is a tough game, guys. The Cowboys, the only team that didn't score a touchdown in week 1. Now you have them back-to-back home games. The whole world is on the Bengals here, and they think it's going to be easy. Could be like Ravens versus the Jets. The Cowboys aren't as bad as the Jets, though. That's the problem here. So this is a tough game for me, Shark. I don't want to trust Cooper Rush, but maybe the defense, I feel like they did this last year when he went out. The defense tried to turn up and, you know what I'm saying, try to compensate for that. But fuck, Cooper Rush, man. Good God, man. They got to try to get Garoppolo, Cam Newton, something, bro. Sorry, what are we doing here, man?
I mean, Cooper Rush, Central Michigan, shout to the MAC. MAC football doesn't usually translate particularly well to the NFL unless you're Antonio Brown. But, I mean, this is a funky-ass stuff. I mean,
it didn't translate well.
It
did for a while.
I mean, the guy was an all-pro for a decade, and then he fucking lost. Right. But, yeah. But, I mean, if we're being honest, this is just tough to cap. Just as much as we said some of the previous spots, and there's a couple more we're going to drop in a couple minutes here, guys. This is the opposite of a great spot. I mean, this is like total unknown. You're hovering in a weird zone. What the line was 7.5. It's come down a little bit of movement. Obviously, theoretically, Bengals off a loss, you want to buy, but really key point, and Jay and I talk about this all the time in the NBA because the sample is bigger. 2 games in the NFL is roughly like 7 or 8 games in the NBA in terms of the sample size versus the whole season. This is the type of thing where they might not auto bounce back. It's week 2. They have to play the regular season all the way through about January 10th. It's a trap game. It's an unmotivating spot. And again, Super Bowl teams like this don't just automatically turn back up in September. Oftentimes they don't find their flow until early mid-October. Sometimes they're 4-5 in the middle of November, and then all of a sudden they win 5 in a row, and then all of a sudden they're right in the playoffs. Like teams like this that really peaked late in the playoffs and lost, they could go through a hangover here for 6 weeks, to be perfectly honest. So I think be careful with the Bengals here. It's not that easy.
And remember, guys, that Burrow, remember when I broke you off with the inside info, guys, he's not 100% right now. He's playing because, I mean, there's a huge drop-off at quarterback if he's not out there. So you feel like he's healthy enough to play. He's not 100%, guys. So just keep that in mind. That's not saying the Bengals won't cover here. I'm not saying take the Cowboys because they could really just be super down on themselves. The damn near season could be even over before it even started. They don't have much confidence in Rush, but I could see the defense stepping it up. And if you can play the defense, get to win the turnover battles or get home. We know guys like Micah Parsons, they have some really good pass rushers over there. You start to hit Burrow, things change, guys. It's the only thing I'm gonna say. So I'll tell you, it's simple with me. I don't take the games that fucking 90% of the world are on. It's simple. I feel like in NFL, you really stay away from that and you'll be good. Don't get it twisted. They cash sometimes, but it's just one of those situations, especially 7 in the hook here. I mean, fuck, what are we doing here? It's like, all right, they'll win by 7 type shit. It's just, I don't know. I don't like the feeling, guys. When everybody thinks something's going to be easy, they don't even really look into the game, look at the history, correlative spots, anything. Okay, Dak is out. Boom, we're fading the Cowboys. It's not always that simple, man. And they look terrible on prime time, you know what I'm saying, last week as well. So it's all more reason. The whole public's going to, the Cowboys are trash. They're going 0-17 apparently. You never know in this one, man. And they're at home again. Let's go over here to the streets of Denver real quick, Shark. Denver, land, -10. What are we doing with them Broncos here, my guy?
Well, 44 minutes into the broadcast, top play dropping, suddenly not so casual, Thirsty Thursday. This will be September 18th, 2022. A 7-point Sunday. The show will drop 10 a.m. Jay will be on at 11. We can't wait to bring you the pure fire on Sunday morning. Some of the best days of the entire calendar year. And we're looking at this late game, 425. I mean, you got the absolute ringer spot here. I talked about it yesterday in my video on Twitter. Talk about it now. Denver laid an egg on the road. Emotional environment, confusion. First game, didn't play their starters in the preseason. Russell Wilson, maybe a little overwhelmed. Hackett, certainly overwhelmed. But again, if you start to look at what happened in that game, I mean, they gave the game away. It wasn't like they got just demolished by the Seahawks. They gave the game away. After that initial Geno Smith burst in the first quarter and a little bit in the second quarter, Seahawks scored 0 points the rest of the game. And Denver continually went down there and just gave it away. 2 fumbles on the 1 yard line. I mean, we're talking about insane stuff. And 2 chip shot field goals. And of course, that final possession where they basically wasted an entire minute not calling a timeout. Bro, it was horrible. There were 5 specific possessions, 2 chip shot field goals, the final possession with no timeout, and 2 fumbles at the 1 yard line. I mean, they legitimately left 20 points on the table. And it wasn't like hard to get those points either. It's just purely insane stuff. So now you come back and you get exactly what you want to fade. You want to fade Houston on the road with Davis Mills at quarterback. Last year, 4 games, 40-0 at Buffalo, 31-3 at Indy, 31-5 at Arizona, and 23-7 at San Francisco. This is an all boxes check spot. Denver's going to come out. They're going to hammer them. Houston is useless in this position. 2-unit special, Denver -10 on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I couldn't talk you off. And you get to fade one of those teams coming off the full overtime as well in that one, where we know the Texans overachieved in that one. I mean, they were up double digits and what the Falcons the Colts came back with ease in that one so you can tell that they're trash. They probably just got overlooked in that one. It's a tough game for you, man. I really don't. I'm just like everybody else questioning the hire for the Broncos over here. I mean, some shit is just like we're sitting at home. I know it's easy for us to say, but some things are pretty fucking simple there. Why do you wait till the last second to call a timeout? I mean, you can really put that on Russ as well. He's the game manager. You're out there, but the coach made at least 3 or 4 lame duck ass decisions. That scares me here, but I agree. This would be a buy-on spot for the Broncos here and letdown spot versus Texans. These are the type of spots that you want as well. And Shark, I also agree. You don't get many double-digit spreads in week 2 here. So we know the Texans overachieved last week. Broncos underachieved. Now it's time to bounce back. We know that they were embarrassed. Russell Wilson, they were embarrassed, and no one should show up here. And with the home court advantage, home field advantage as well, my guys. With the Broncos, they're definitely leaning that way, Shark. Couple more games here. Let's get to them. We got the Raiders here, laying 6 points versus the Cardinals here, Shark. Both teams coming off a loss. Obviously, the Cardinals look absolutely horrific. Was that more on the Chiefs making them look bad, or really was it the Cardinals being in a little somewhat state of disaster? We know they without Hopkins for the first 6 games. Got some injuries over there as well. Shark, are the Raiders an auto bounce back here in Vegas?
I don't think so. I'm not going to make this official right now, but we're probably going this direction on Sunday afternoon. We're looking at Arizona at +6. And I think you have to look at Arizona. People are quick to say Arizona's terrible. Kyler Murray's enigmatic. He's a poor leader. He's an ego. He's this, and that. Cliff Kingsbury should have never left, the Big 12, and he got lucky because, his scheme had never been seen in the NFL, and the guys hadn't adjusted over, hours of tape being watched and whatnot. But, if you really go back to last year, I think it's very important to look at what happened last year in their calendar. They did start the season 7-0, so let that stand for itself. However, when they started to lose ball games, for whatever reason, they became very poor in their home stadium. Last year, and I'll go through it real quick, they were 8-1 ATS on the road. 8-1 ATS on the road, and key point late season when they started to lose ball games, they were 3-1 ATS on the road coming off of a home loss. They lost at home against Green Bay 24-21. Then they went into San Francisco the next week and hammered them 31-17. They laid a complete egg at home 34-10. And then they came back at Seattle 23-13 win. They laid a complete egg at home again against Indianapolis. And they went into Dallas and won 25-22. And a similar line figure there, too. Dallas was laying 6 points in that game. Books have Arizona downgraded in terms of the line on the road. So theoretically, you would say to yourself, wow, the Raiders are laying 6 points. That's pretty noteworthy. It's not. It's how they have the Cardinals graded. The Cardinals like to travel. They just don't play well in their home stadium. And you get the Raiders coming home. Tough loss in the division. Now you get an out-of-division opponent that's going to try to open up the game and track beat you after a real slowdown game on the road against Herbert and the boys. This is a significant lean to Arizona here for me.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sorry, you know what I start to notice, bro? And in football, just in general, this 5.5 to 6 or 5.5 to 6.5 when the line is come out there, I just feel like that's kind of like a trap to take the favorite, bro. I mean, there may not be any substance. I'll have to start tracking or go back and look at it. But you saw with the Giants last week. Who else was laying 6.5? The Bengals were laying 6.5. I just feel like that's kind of that trap, especially at 5.5, dead zone type of number, right? It's not even a key number in football. That's what you have here, huh?
Particularly at home.
Exactly. Yeah, because the Bengals and Titans were both landing at the house, right? Yeah. You with me at the house, landing at 5.5, 6 to 6.5. I just feel like I'm just thinking on like a large scale here. I just feel like in the past few years, and I see that they usually lose the game outright, man. But that's not as simple capping this game. I do think the Cardinals. You looked horrible last week, guys. What you want to do, you want to take the teams that looked horrible all week. They're gonna be like, damn, man, we was trash, bro. Come on, man, let's turn up in practice. Let's turn back. Come on, bro. Let's get back right. I like what you said, Shark. They're insulted by their own quality, man. We know that we were trash. Come on, we know we did better than that. The Raiders over there took them. It's looking like Carr and Adams take a little time to get on the right page. Adam, one of the top receivers in the league, and they have a new coach as well over there. So I think the Raiders are like a very public team this year, and like you're paying a premium to back this team. If you ask me, I could see them winning this game by 3. If the Cardinals don't win straight up, I could see them losing by a field goal here. Shark, one more game here, my guy. Patrick Deal, can't wait for 10-18 NBA starts. You're not the only one, my guy. Let's go over here to Green Bay. Last game up, Sunday night football. You see what I'm saying? Aaron Rodgers, will he bounce back? Another one, land double digits here on the road. I mean, at home versus a team that overachieved in week 1, guys. The Bears, that's not the Bears. I don't give a damn what no one says. It's not the Bears. They won in a monsoon. I don't really want to trust the Packers, but I know Aaron Rodgers, he's going to be on everyone's ass in the practice this week. Sorry, what do you think? Do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to bounce back, or do you think this year he kind of just wants his money and he doesn't care how the team feels? What do you think?
I don't know. I think that it's hard to figure out the psychology with Aaron Rodgers. Of course, you can never really listen to the media. The media is always stirring up their own story about guys. And we talk about this so many times. The media is so invasive on players' lives in press conferences. The players don't give them anything real. So it's a twofold thing with the media. They're so invasive and so aggressive, they don't get any real information. And then because they don't get any real information, they stir up bullshit stories. If they would just take the edge off the whole thing and take their fucking ego down like 10 million levels and just ask normal questions, get normal answers, people would get real reports and we would know exactly what's going on. But that's not the state of the media. So anyway, nobody knows what's going on with Aaron Rodgers, really. I mean, he was in South America taking some sort of like, herbal medication. He apparently found whatever, ayahuasca or something. I mean, I don't know what happened, but
PEDs?
Maybe. I don't know. But we saw in week 1 how awful they looked. This is a bounce back spot. However, the best play, and I'm dropping it right now, I said on Twitter, we're going to drop a 2-unit total on this card on this show. Official play under 42 as of right now. I got a hook last night, but we'll drop it officially here. 2-unit special under 42. And you have to go back to last year. Very important stuff here in terms of the line. Obviously, this is a divisional matchup, so we are data abundant. We got 2 matchups last year. We had Justin Fields. We had Aaron Rodgers. Of course, Devontae Adams has moved on. But this is important stuff. The game that was played between Chicago and Green Bay last year in Green Bay finished 45-30. 75 points scored. There were 45 points scored in the second quarter alone. I'll repeat that. 45 points in the second quarter alone. And it was the extreme outlier stuff. 46-yard pass, 55-yard pick six, 97-yard punt return for a touchdown, 54-yard pass and 38-yard pass, 3 long passes, a defensive touchdown, and a punt return for a touchdown. The line was 43, and it finished at 75. and they opened this up less than the number last year. And you're looking at what happened in week 1. Aaron Rodgers, new receivers, no continuity, can't deliver the ball. Offensive line sketchy as well. Chicago, great defense, held San Francisco to 10 points in week 1. Justin Fields not exactly setting the world on fire with passer rating or efficiency. This game is due to be very low scoring. The previous game last year was 24-14 on a 38 final. This game, in my opinion, is right there, 38 or under. 2-unit special, under 42, Green Bay, Chicago.
Yeah, so that means they're trying to say that the game should be somewhere around 27-17, right? In my opinion, right? Like this
over.
Yeah, I know that that's over, but I'm saying, how will we do it? So I'm trying to allocate, see, like, what would the Bears team total be just by
lower? I honestly think this game is going to be lower. I think you're going to see like 21-12 or something. Like 20.
How the hell they gonna get 12 points, man? They gonna get 4 field goals. Now, look, what I'm trying to say is, Shark, I'd rather take Bears team total under. I feel like that's better. I feel like because obviously we're taking under. We don't think that I really think there's a good chance that the Packers could win this game by 14 plus. See what I'm saying? I'd like to take Bears team total under. I think they'll get shut down and get held under 10 points. So that's why I was just trying to think of how would they have based on this total. They should have it somewhere around like 26.5 or 16.5 as far as like the somewhere around there for both team totals. That's all I was trying to look at. I feel like the Bears will go on. I like them under. If it's anything over 14.5, I like them to get under 14 points this game.
Yeah, if you just look at the line and the total, the score they're telling you is 26-16.
26-16, yeah. I knew it was somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I can dig it.
Yeah.
Under 14, I'd look at under 14.5. So that means that the line should be for them 16.5 for the Bears. So yeah, I'd be looking at team total under for the Bears. I feel like if this game does go under, which it should, it'll definitely be the Bears might have 3 points in this game. Like seriously, because the Packers defense was kind of lost. Justin Jefferson, a couple of passes, there was nobody near him. You gotta fix that shit. You see what I'm saying? That's also why I hate zone though. There's always a hole in the zone. I can't stand that. You got to run some type of man. Come on, bro. I can't stand the fucking zones. But that's it, man. That's the show, my guys. That's the show, man. Let's get some cash. Real quick, if you like a shirt, we still got plenty of Jay and Shark shirts, man. Smack City, us against the bookies, and let's get some cash, man. I don't really care if anybody buys the shirts because I'll put a new one on and I'll cash the plays. You see what I'm saying? Just put a fresh one on, my guys. Let's get some cash. A fresh shirt, man. I'll wear all of these motherfuckers. But if you'd like to get one, go check out the website at jmoneyismoney.com. Now let's get to some cash here, Shark. We know it's Thursday night. Don't necessarily have an official on this one, but break them off with your NFL Week 2 official plays, my brother.
Yeah, as we said tonight, you can't force a play. Just because there's a game on TV doesn't mean there's an angle. It's unfortunate. Of course, you want to sweat. You want to make money. You want to enjoy it. It's just not there. Free play, I do lean Chiefs, as I mentioned before. Chiefs with readjusted numbers being horrible for years should show an uptick in their efficiency here. But official plays we're dropping right now. There will be more on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. on Twitter. Sharky Waters Nation, 9 Words Lifestyle, ride the way out of the water. LA Rams, 1 unit, minus 10.5. Denver, minus 10, 2 units. New England, minus 2, 1 unit. And under Chicago, Green Bay, 42, 2 units. Beautiful Thursday, Jay Money, a pleasure. We appreciate you guys in the chat. Fire it off. Good luck with all your plays tonight. It's going to be a hell of a night. It's beautiful in the Northeast. I can't wait to start the NBA in over a month, and it's going to be a great, great fall, winter, spring, and summer. Jay Money, close them out, and let's dominate.
Yeah, man, we got to start doing some NBA previews or something, Shark. Whenever you're ready, man, we can preview some teams. We can preview some team total unders, whatever you want to do, my brother. But like I said, I didn't have a play for tonight. I like to lean towards the Chiefs and the under. I don't think the offense is still explosive, but this Chargers defense is no joke as well. So while I can see the Chiefs getting there, I do think it'll be more of a defensive game than we think. I hadn't placed a single dollar on it, guys. I only bet one game for NFL so far this week. I took the Lions on the money line, guys. The personal play. If you like to ride with me, let's cash it. It's nothing huge. It's week 2. We had a really good week 1, so that's all the more reason why I'm scaling back a tad bit week 2. Not trying to get my own self in trouble, but there are some good plays out there, guys. To be honest with you, top leans. I'm on the Lions. Patriots, Cardinals, 49ers, Packers, Colts, and the Panthers, my guys. Maybe the Dolphins as well, but those are the leans. Be doing another show tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, guys. So just pick and choose for all the info. Let's get some cash. Good luck on all your bets. Let's get some cash. We will win. It's us against the bookies. Let's take them to Smack City, my guys. We out. Appreciate your time.